Okay, so I hope third time is a charm. You should all have received within the past few minutes access to a new set of data. Once again, it is for the state of Nevada, but these are only for fatal crashes that occurred in the state of Nevada, and I will go over them in just a few minutes. So please make sure you have access to them. Those of you who are online, if you could please show a thumbs up, just have your hand up or thumbs up once you are able to access the data. Yeah, please keep it up, Tushar. Maybe a raised hand will be better, so that it will stay on the screen. Thumbs up disappears. Thank you. I just see two hands up. Ashwini, Ishfaq, Krishna Kishore, Shruti. Please let us know when you get the data. How about people in the room? Is there anybody who didn't get the data? Okay, looks like everybody here has the data. All right, while I wait for you all to load the data, a few comments. I was able to briefly look at the feedback I got from all of you. Thank you all for your responses, the Gyan course feedback. I believe we had 24 of you provided responses, so thank you. I quickly looked through that. I'm sorry I didn't have time to look at it in great detail. I just was able to do it just before lunch and over lunch. I won't comment on what are the positive things, but I wanted to comment on what you suggested that I do differently or do things I'm not doing. I may be able to, when I say I, it includes Professor Maurya, Dr. Bharadwaj. Many of you wanted Indian specific data. Unfortunately, I do not have access to India specific data. Professor Maurya showed you some from Assam in terms of the graphics and so on, and as he mentioned, there is a dearth of data related to safety and as the roadways or traffic operation conditions as they relate to safety. So that's an opportunity for you all to try to look at what exists, what are the gaps, and how to make a difference. The other things that a few of you asked is maybe the lectures are too slow to speed up the discussion. I'll try and see if I can do that, but I want to make sure I do justice. I don't believe in just leading and speaking and quote covering materials unquote. My goal is to help uncover or discover. I'd rather go a little slower than a little faster, but if it is too slow, let me know and I will go faster. The third one is a mix. I saw it in both the favorable or continue doing, and I saw it on do less, is explanations and theory or the formulations why we are doing what. A few people said no, we don't want to hear that much as a theory or the science behind it, but several others said no, we like it, so we are able to understand it. So that's a mixed bag. Okay. So these are the overarching comments. I appreciate every one of you who provided the feedback. I should have done it one day earlier, so I would have been able to make changes, or we would have been able to make changes. Online people, please show your hand up. I see Shruti has got her hand up. If you have access to the data that were sent just a few minutes ago, this afternoon. All right, so you should have received 3 files. They should be named accident, person, and vehicle. They are within a folder called 32 Nevada FARS data. FARS is Fatal Accident Reporting System. Even though in the US we are very, very strongly moving towards using the word crash and not accident, because this is a system that is decades old, they are continuing to use the same acronym. Unfortunately, even the file that they have named is accident file, not crash file. Okay, I don't control it. I cannot easily effect a change, but those of us who work in this domain are trying to bring about a change in the way that we talk about things. So these are very similar to what I showed you over the last 2 days for Nevada. The last 2 days I shared with you one file that had 300 records of primarily crashes that had only K or A outcomes. That was the first. Then when you had a K or A outcome, you may have had B, C or O outcomes. So when you look at the other 2 files, the second file was vehicle files. So for 300 K plus A crashes, we had 480 or so vehicles involved in these crashes. The third file was persons involved in the crash. So we had more than the number of vehicles. So that was a sampling of all types of crashes. What I am going to share with you, what I have shared and will go over, and the exercise you will work on it. Oh, that was the other comment was, please work out the examples or show us how to do it. I am going to hold off on that. I am going to work on have you work on this. I will walk around the room or otherwise, because if I spoon feed you, you are not going to learn how to do it. If you do not have the skills with the data analysis, I am sorry, you have to pick it up. For you to be able to successfully work in this domain, you must have some of the data analytics skills. I will do my best to walk around to guide you, but there are plenty of free online tools, access to tools online that will help you to work on this. Okay, now going to the 3 files that I shared with you. I am going to start with the accident file. It has many more, all of these have many more details than we saw in the last 2. That is because when there is a fatal crash, the data that are recorded are far more extensive than for an injury crash or a property damage crash. So let us start with the accident file. The first column is 32. 32 is just a reference. In the US we have 50 states. And state number 1 is Alabama. It is written in alphabetical order. So Nevada N comes 32nd in the alphabetical order. So that is the number 32. The second is state name, and it is the Nevada, which is a state where I live. The third one is the state case within the state. So you see it starts from 32001 and goes all the way to 320389. There were 389 fatal crashes that took place that year. So that is what it is. Each fatal crash is unique. The next is were there pedestrians, total number of vehicles. I will get into some of these details. Persons and vehicles involved, persons, number of persons, permit, the county where the crash occurred. So you see 1 for Church, oh come on, 3 is Clark County. We have 17 counties, but you see some numbers that are greater than 17. That is because if there are cities involved, you will see some, but essentially a county is a district. Then comes the cities, and the number of the city does not matter. Look at the name of the city. In many cases you will see not applicable because it did not take place within a city boundary. It took place outside a city boundary. The month when the crash occurred, 1 for January. The next one is a narrative of the month. Day, which is the date, day name. So once again these are mirrored columns. I apologize, this is not something I designed, but that is how the database is. You will see several fields that are duplicative. The next one is day of the week. 2 is for Monday. There in the US we start with Sunday as day number 1, 2 is Monday, 3 is Tuesday, and so on. And the next field is a descriptor of the day. And this is for the most recent year where we were able to get complete data for a year. The year was 2022, the calendar year 2022, from January 1st through December 31. Then you have hour in a 24-hour format. 18 means 6 p.m. So the next field says it is 6 p.m. to 6:59 p.m. Minute pretty straightforward for 48 minute. Then let me, T way is travel way, on which road. So this is the first one, says Sahara Avenue. Route, it is a code that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 8, and it is basically 1 is interstate, 2 is US highway, 3 will be state highway, and 8 is other, which is not a numbered route. So we have numbered routes for interstate, US highways. US highways are one level lower than an interstate. Interstate is a freeway. A US highway is not necessarily a freeway. A freeway means you can only get on at on ramps and get off at off ramps. There is no other junction. A US highway could have a junction. State highway is one level lower, but it is not a freeway. So that is the route name. Rural or urban. 2 is used the code for urban, 1 is the code for rural, and you will see that written out in the next field. The next is what we have called as a functional classification. Is there anybody who is not familiar with the functional classification, the term functional classification? Show your right hands please if you have not heard of the functional classification. Please raise your hands if you have not heard. Okay, I see several people. All right, so very quickly, one for a function. The functional classification is basically used to categorize the road network across the country, across the state, into various levels based upon the function that the roadway serves. Functional class 1 is the highest class, which is the interstate highway system. It is meant to provide high speed, high volume movement. So you can only get on an interstate system at an on ramp, get off at an off ramp. You cannot get on or off anywhere else. It will have a minimum of 2 lanes in each direction. The opposing travel lanes are separated by a median. It could be a wide space, it could be as simple as a barrier in the middle. So that is the highest functional class. The purpose is to provide high speed, high volume movement. The next would be principal arterial, minor arterial, so on, until you get to 7, which is a residential. When you have a housing colony, for example, streets that serve each of the individual housing units. So 1 is the highest, 7 is the lowest. Is there anybody who didn't understand that? Okay. And you can see, I was talking about it, but this column has the number, the next column has the description. Who is the roadway owner? So 1 is the state of Nevada, 2 is a county or district. I don't know what 3 is, let me look at. There is no 3. 4 is a city or municipality. You see 26 is private, 66, we have a lot of state parks and national parks within the state. So if it is a road in a national park, the owner is the national park, 66. So that is the code for who owns it. And in our case, for our analysis today and tomorrow, we may not worry about it a whole lot, but you are trying to address who will have responsibility to make improvements on the roadway. Or if you want to look at whose roads have more safety problems. Don't look at it just as a count, as we talked about. You need to look at it as a rate. In this case, you may want to look at it as number of fatalities per centerline mile they own, or number of fatalities per lane mile that they own. The next one is NHS. Is this a part of the national highway systems? There is a system of defense highway network. So at this point, you don't need to worry about that. And NHS-NA, this section is not on the NHS, or this section is on the NHS. You could have one major highway, parts of which are on the national highway system. There could be sections which are not on the national highway system. no special milepost. So you are going to see a lot of 99998 is because they didn't record. The milepost is not appropriate. For example, on a city street, we are not worried about the milepost. Whereas on an interstate highway, let me just pick this. You see a milepost and you can see very clearly the functional class is 1. It is an interstate highway, and so it is at milepost 200. Then the next two columns are the latitude and longitude. Well, latitude they have 2, longitude minus meaning it is west of the prime meridian. Harmful event, there are codes, and then the next one is the description. 8 is there was a pedestrian. 54 is it was motor vehicle in transport, that is moving. Similar to what we saw last time, but there are numeric codes and alpha descriptors. The type of collision, angle, head on, so on. Okay. Junction, non-junction, on roadway, off roadway. I am not going to go describe all of this. Daytime, nighttime, and the specific cover. There certain times of the year it gets really dark where I live in Las Vegas. In the winter months, by about 4:30 it is dark. Sun sets earlier than that. In the summer months we have daylight till 8:30 or 9 p.m. The next things of interest are arrival. These are transport to the hospital, arrival hour, arrival minute, when did you transport the patient. Yesterday several of you were interested in looking at from when the incident took place to when it got to the hospital. So you will have it by the arrival and so on. And the last column is the number of fatals. So these are descriptors of the crash. What I want to go on next is the vehicles involved. The unique reference number, like we did over the last 2 days, is the state case number. So remember, it starts from 32001 to 389 or so. But now for the first case there was only one vehicle involved. Let me focus on the second case. There were 3 vehicles involved in the fatality. So you have 3 records. Each of them has the same case number, but this was vehicle number 1, vehicle number 2, vehicle number 3 that was involved. And for each of these vehicles, again you can correlate it by when the crash occurred, the day, date, month. But what is more important here are other factors, is what type of vehicle was it, which was the registration plate for the license, where was the vehicle licensed, driver, was the driver the registered owner or not the registered owner, what is the make, model of the vehicle, and there are codes for each of these, and type of the vehicle, two-wheeler versus a compact small car, mid-size car, station wagon, light pickup, so on. Year the vehicle was manufactured, the model year, and then this is what I told you yesterday. We have a unique identifier for every vehicle. It is called the VIN, vehicle identifier number, and we use it more than in safety. It's usually law enforcement officers use it to detect stolen vehicles, to try to identify them even if the license plate is same. And the VIN is embedded in several parts on the vehicle, so that thieves cannot cut and sell it that easily, on many main parts, the door, the frame, the engine block, so on and so forth. The VIN name. So they are breaking down the VIN into various blocks. We don't need it for our safety analysis. Was there a trailer involved? Most of the cases you will find no trailer. There are just a few that have trailers. I look at 1 or 2 trailers, 28 out of the 588 vehicles involved were towing a trailer. So the point I'm making is it's not very common. Jackknife, whether the vehicle jackknifed or not is the thing. Jackknife is when a vehicle goes off the road, and are you familiar with that? Could you explain it to the class in terms that people here may understand? I know Ritvik works in the commercial area. If you'll use your microphone.
To understand jackknifing, it will be easier to understand if we take the concept of a collapsible knife, like the Swiss knife, or we use it even in our homes, like a like a beetle cutter, right? Chaku, that are the one commonly thing. So if you have a trailer, it is mounted not directly on the tractor. It is mounted on something called a fifth wheel. Consider it like a bearing. So if you have something mounted on that bearing, like a cantilever, it can swivel. So what happens is, like, if you're on a highway and suddenly you brake, so the front vehicle will definitely stop. Second vehicle will not lose its momentum. So it will continue and it will transfer its energy either to the left or the right. And as a result, sometimes the entire trailer comes in front of the vehicle. So that's it.
Very nice analogy. I wouldn't have thought about the Chaku analogy. That's a very nice one. Thank you. I'll try to keep that in mind when I speak to other audiences. So usually that happens when one of these vehicles that carry a trailer or hauling a trailer is going too fast, has to abruptly brake or abruptly sometimes swerve. Sometimes the back of the vehicle comes to the front, or it almost becomes a U-type. Then it was a jackknife, and then you have several fields related to that. What I will do is, while you work on the data, I will download, so whether it's a bus, so on and so forth, I'll download the data dictionary and share it with you. I think that is more efficient use of our time than for me to explain each of this. Rollover as a term, this is under override. So this is when you have a large profile vehicle and a smaller vehicle goes and crashes into the back of it. Think about a big truck or a lorry and a small car or a two-wheeler motorcycle that goes and hits at the back of it and goes under. Rollover is whether a vehicle rolled over. Impact, at what angle, so you look at 360 degrees of the wheel. So you can see 12 o'clock point, left, right. So it is not particularly deformity and the description of deformity. Oh, come on. Whether a vehicle was towed or not towed, pedestrian involved or not, whether there was a fire. Oh, one thing now, additional feature that you get here, which you could have derived from other ways once you have the latitude and longitude. There we use the word zip code, which is the same as pin code. Here it's a 5-digit number. If you have the latitude and longitude, and you can overlay that on a map that has the zip code, pin code, and find it. But here they are explicitly identifying where the zip code is. Licensing status, 0 is not licensed, 6 is licensed, 9 is not known. And whether it is a commercial driver's license or not, whether there are endorsements. Some people have the license to drive multiple classes of vehicles. So these are very useful for us to evaluate who are the types of drivers who are being involved in such crashes. Then come the height, width, and weight of, I shouldn't say height, width, drivers. Let me skip the date. Speed related. This is another field that you might find of relevance. Was it due to excess speeding? You'll see code number 3 is excess speeding. Traffic way is two-way, unprotected median divided two-way, not divided with continuous left turn lanes. So there are, these have to do with the roadway geometry. How are the lanes configured? What is the posted speed limit or number of lanes? Posted speed limit. Which direction of travel? Straight. So type of roadway, surface, vehicle traffic control. Come on. Let me skip on this and then go to the third one, which is your person data. Here the person one, for motor vehicle occupants, what I wanted to show you is it gives you information on exactly where each person, age and gender of the people involved in the crash, each person, where were they seated, driver, passenger, and their location. Injury severity for each person, 4 is fatal, 0 is no, and 1 is possible, 2 is minor, 3 is major injuries like we have seen before. Seating position, where did I see? And tells you front seat, left, center, so on and so forth. Were they using for a two-wheeler, were they using a helmet, what type of a helmet appropriate, were the airbags deployed, were anybody ejected, thrown out of the vehicle, were they wearing, was each person, for each person you have this information. Let me find one where I'll show you an ejection. Two is partially ejected, they were thrown off their seat but within the vehicle. Let me try to find. I could not find another one. This is, in some crashes, they are so horrific that the people are not able to get out on their own, or the first responders are not able to pull them out without mechanical means. So extrication means that they have to either what we call jaws of life. They are huge shears or cutting things which cut open the vehicle to extricate the occupant. Whether or not the person was under the influence of alcohol, suspected, and how did they determine it, whether there was a test given, and what type of test, drugs. So this is a lot more extensive. If I look at it, I think it goes all the way to field DV. I'm going to stop sharing this now. I'll start, I look at the time, it is 2:55. I will give you all, like yesterday, 20 minutes to do any analysis that you want on one or more of the sheets that I shared with you this afternoon. Please work in teams. Teams of 2. I see there are 2 teams of 3. Please split yourself into 3 teams of 2. Okay. And those online, please work with your WhatsApp groups and do any analysis using these data. While you do that, I'm going to try and see if I can locate the FARS data dictionary. All right, let's bring to a halt what you're doing. Quick question, I'm not going to make you report as I did yesterday. I want to see if any of you have anything that you found interesting. Is there anybody here who wants to tell what you did or what you found? Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So in our analysis, we found out that the total crashes occurred in most of the occurred in the 4-door sedan cars.
four-door
sedan cars.
Yes.
And the total fatal crashes, most of the fatal crashes occurs in the two-wheeler motorcycle. So you come up with
Oh, that's a surprise to me.
Yeah.
Double check.
Yeah.
Double check your work, because I think motorcycle fatalities probably are less than 20 out of the 384.
No, sir, in our, we have found it in the person. Sir, can I share my screen?
Yes.
Okay, sir, just a second.
So I will need to do this.
No, sir, I am in
Yeah,
the
for
meeting.
that I need to connect this for you to share.
Oh, okay. No issue, sir. How to share it?
ये लोग अपना स्क्रीन शेयर करना चाहते हैं, तो इसमें कनेक्ट करना है ना.
Sir, it's done. I'm there.
It's there, yeah, but it's not coming here.
Oh,
They cannot see it.
okay, fine.
So keep talking.
Yeah.
Keep talking. So you may please enlarge the numbers.
Yeah, so sir, as per our chart, sir, as you can see here, the four-door sedan has the most number of total number of injuries. Sir, here, I'm
Yes.
sorry, the crashes, and the sir, in
Okay.
two-wheeler motorcycle like this, this is here. Where is my cursor is? It has the total fatal injuries. It's more than the four-wheeler sedan or anything
Okay,
else.
I need to look at your analysis. I'll tell you a quick way.
Yeah.
Go back to the original sheet where you have the data.
Sir,
Just shift. This is your analysis. Where is
Yeah.
the raw data?
here it is, sir.
Person.
Sir, I just hide some of the.
Okay,
things,
so where is the vehicle type?
sir. Yeah. So
Okay, put a
body-
filter on row 1, highlight, just click here
Okay.
above 1, yeah, click there
Yeah.
and
Okay,
go to
okay.
data,
Data.
just
Oh,
data,
Okay. Yes, sir.
filter,
Yes, sir.
okay, and now click on this.
Oh.
And
Sir, my laptop just got dead. I have no idea what happened.
power gaya. Is somebody going to come share? Those people online, are you able to see what Shanthan had shared? Online, were you able to see what we were discussing here?
Yeah, I think I just had one suggestion. Like, rather than getting the full vehicle types, they could have gone for top 5 or top 10 vehicles with the maximum number of fatalities. That would have been clearer.
Yes, I agree, but I gave you full license to do whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah, because on screen it's not visible. Like, it's quite cluttered for
Yes,
to discern what's.
Yeah. क्या हुआ? नो, कल आपने किया था ये लेके इस पे कनेक्ट कर दिया तो उसमें भी आया.
प्रॉब्लम ये होगा कि कैमरा टीम्स में नहीं.
Okay, so परवाह नहीं, they are able to show it. Okay, Shanthan, is your computer back up? All right. Anyway, but
I think somehow we made our point.
okay. Does anybody else have to make any interesting observations? Online, Shruti, you had a comment about the current presentation. Do you have anything about yours? No. Okay, so there are many ways we can dissect it, but what I would suggest.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you have some? Go ahead.
No, I have a similar observation. Like, I merged the data quite late, but I used it doing Python. So most of the work which I did was similar to what we observed during our earlier works, which we did on the Nevada crash data set.
Okay.
One observation which I found really unique was, like, while calculating the descriptive analysis, there was, like, while distributing the fatality count per crash, I got there is average 1 fatality per crash. So the crash had certain level of high intensity if there is a fatality associated with it. Apart from that, the distribution of crashes by hour of the day, I observed the maximum number of crashes were occurring after 3 p.m. between 3 to 6, and then later at night around 9 p.m. there was a high crash count
Okay.
observed.
Thank you. So
Sorry.
go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, then day by accidents distribution of crash with respect to week, I observed higher crashes were there during Saturday and Sunday, that is the weekends.
Yes.
As far as lighting conditions are considered, the crashes were most during dawn time, but like an outlier was there, like a very high number of fatality was observed during daylight. So that might be due to overspeeding. The reason needs to be explored for that. And Clark County had the highest number of crashes recorded. And as
Okay.
far as roadway type is
It's okay.
considered,
छोड़ दीजिए.
minor arterials had the highest number of crashes.
I'm sorry, Shruti, I missed what you said at the end. They are trying to help me with the IT. No, जैसे था वैसे ही छोड़ दीजिए. Yeah. So
Yeah,
Shruti, what
sir,
was the last comment?
yeah, one unique observation which I felt was that the highest number of accident crashes were observed as at minor arterials rather than high-speed interstate roads.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I want to, so a few comments based upon what you just reported before that. So you reported a higher number of, first of all, you had at least one fatality per crash in the data you analyzed today. That is to be expected because the data that I shared with you were only for crashes that had at least one fatality, whereas yesterday's had those which had fatalities, so that may only have had A-type crashes. So that is not a surprise. I am very happy to hear that you use Python to link or connect the data sets. So there are many ways to do that. I will show you, since many of you, several of you asked to show how to connect or link different spreadsheets. I will show you one way to do it in a little while. So I was trying to answer the question that Shointan and his group said, what type of vehicle. Give me 1 minute. Oh, by the way, I shared with you, Ritesh, were you able to share this file with them? So this is the FARS data users manual. This was published just last month, February of 2025, so it's brand new. And what I wanted to point out is I only showed you 3 different types of files: the accident file, vehicle file, and person file. There are many more, and if you look at it, there are about 600 pages just to document what it is. For example, if I go to the vehicle file, it gives you the code for what each field has. So unit type, vehicle type. So I don't want to belabor this, so please look at this to understand how rich the data set is, and you will also see that there are certain data fields that were collected from 1975 to 1980 or so, or some period of time, and disconnected or discontinued. Others were not collected in the years past, but maybe in the more recent years were collected. One example has to do, I think in 2019 they started collecting some data about connected vehicles or in-vehicle technologies, but they stopped doing that after 3 years because they were not able to get reliable data. Professor Maurya was talking about some of the challenges getting the data, and all of this was dependent on what the police officer was recording. So you will see that there are some fields that they stopped collecting after 2 or 3 years. Let me go back to vehicle. Shointan, you were talking about this, right? Let me look at motorcycle. I'll take motor scooter, off-road motorcycle. only three are scooters or off-road motorcycles, but I'll work with you to double check this. I was not convinced that you had correctly identified all of these. All-terrain vehicle. It's 3:30. So let me work through. What I see is one way to link two sheets that have the same field. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use yesterday's data set, what we did, because that's slightly smaller in size than what I just showed you here. There are many ways to do it. Several of you said you were using Python or other codes, so I'm not going to go into that. So this is the Nevada crash data set that I showed you yesterday. We have three sheets, the statewide, person and vehicle. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to combine vehicle and I'm going to try to combine. I hope it works. Okay. Oftentimes you do it and then when you try to show how to do it, it doesn't work. I go to the data tab. So please follow me on the screen. If you let me enlarge this. Is there anybody online who is not able to see what I'm doing? I was here, I went to data, okay, click on data, you get the get data. I'm going to get data from, come on, an Excel workbook, which is an Excel workbook. I'm going to use the Nevada crash data. And I'm going to use the select multiple items because I want to merge two tables. To keep it simple, I'm just going to keep the person table and the vehicle table. I think we had 490 or so vehicles and 800 or so persons. So when I merge it, I should get around the 900, the sum of the two, not the sum of the two, the higher, the person one, but I should get all the fields that were in the vehicle field, vehicle sheet, and all the fields that were in the person field. So I'm selecting these two, and I'm going to say the bottom, load to. Where do I want to load to? I want to load to this particular point, existing worksheet. I want it as a table in a new worksheet, or it created a new worksheet, I'm sorry. So you can see there are 717 persons, 498. So it's still loading. Why did it not? Oh, I should have done combine queries. What I did was individual queries. I'm merging the two. Oops, I have to, pardon me. It has to allow me to select the field. I'm going to redo it. I told you when I try to do it, I might not do it correctly. get data from file Excel workbook. Oh, that's not what I want. So when I combine queries, it is asking me which table. I'm going to first go to the vehicle table, and which column do I want? This is the column, the first column, which has a crash number, right? Is there anybody who's not following me? Next, I go to the
Sir,
person table.
hello.
Yes?
Sir, can you just repeat from the beginning?
Start from the very beginning. Okay. Let me just finish this particular step, then I will go back, all right?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So I selected which sheet I wanted, and this is the field. And let me click OK. Let me see what it does. So you can see it has all the fields from both the sheets. Oh, I'm glad I went here. Person table, it did not. When you look here, the person table is just as person table. It has not expanded the fields there. But if I click, come on that, I want the whole, not just the table, I want all the fields. I want to select all the fields from there and click OK. Now it will populate. So all the fields that we had in the vehicle table, all the fields that we had in the person table, and if I did everything right, I should have 790. Oh, come on. I'm going to hit the load and close. It will save it as a sheet. I'm not sure what I did incorrectly. It merged both and then did something. I don't know why I got 1400, whereas I should have had only 717 rows. It doubled it basically. I did it twice, 717 plus 717. Right. So Chandrika Verma, you had wanted me to repeat it, right?
Yes, sir. Just would like to know the procedure to how to combine those, like how you did.
It is correct?
Yeah, whatever. I think the rows are different. Number of rows in vehicle is 589. Number of rows in person are 928.
Oh, really? Okay, so if we added it comes out correctly? Thank you for verifying it. So let me try this one more time. I'm going to save this. I'm going to open a new file so that it'll delete all the queries that I had. So the data that I'm working on, oops, I saved it as the same file name. So I'm just creating a new file name for this. I want to show you that I'm using the same data and I'm creating a new sheet. So we had the statewide crash data, the person table and the vehicle table. Is there anybody who is not with me on what I'm just showing you? Chandrika Prasad, are you with me?
Yes, sir. Following, sir. Following.
Okay, so I'm creating a new sheet called vehicle plus person because I want to combine vehicle data and person data. And I'm just going to cell A1 or 1A and I'm going to click on the data tab at the top. Are you with me? I need to hear yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Every
Yes, sir.
time I
Yes,
ask,
sir.
every time I ask, are you with me, Chandrika Verma? I'm going to ask you to say yes or no. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So I clicked on the data link, and then on the left, the way I have set up my computer, it shows up here. You click on the get data. All right, and I am going to query options. Let me see if I have to merge queries. I clicked on the merge query. Did you follow me on that?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
then,
sir.
And then so it is asking me what do I want to merge. So the first one I want to merge is the vehicle. I'm going to pick vehicle first because that has fewer number. Well, I'll pick person. And what is the column that has the common field between the person field and the vehicle field? That's the crash number, right? Are you with me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir. Yes,
sir.
sir.
So I clicked on that field. Then I go to which is the second sheet I want to merge. The first one was person, so the second one is vehicle. And there too it is asking me which field to use to combine the two. So I picked again the crash number. Are you still with me?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes, sir.
And from that I'm just going to click OK. Just working on it. And now I'm going to close and load. So basically it will save it. Right now it is in a query format. All of this is a query format, and you can see the coding. We didn't have to write any of the coding in the formula when we use this inbuilt functions. So here I'm going to go to load and close, and I'm going to load and close because I'm saving it right there. If you say load and close to, you can change the file name and save it somewhere else in a different file or different folder. So I'm just going to load and close. Jadoo chalna hai, come on, come on, come on, come on. I don't like the default table coloring, so I'm just going to go here. So let me see what it did. 718, right? Because we had 718. But what I forgot to do is expand the yeah, it has combined all the fields. Last time it was when I did it, I went one extra step where it had all the fields on the source, the original merge table, and the second table was all collapsed. So when you are doing the query, go to that last column where it has got all the collapsed columns for the second sheet. Click on that, expand it, just to be doubly sure. I skipped that step out here. Chandrikant Verma, are you okay now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So hopefully this will help you all to combine sheets. The challenge is when you have more than a few hundred records, if you do this on an Excel file in this manner, unless you have a lot of memory to run the calculations, it may take a long time and you need storage space. So I prefer tools or techniques that some of you said you wrote an API outside or you used some other script to do the analysis outside of this. Yet other tools that I've had my students do is use R as statistical software. If you have used R, it is very easy in R to merge multiple data sets. So what I just did here was 2 sheets that had about 900 fields, but if you have 900 rows and about 70 columns. The FARS data that I just showed you today is far more expansive. So doing it in Excel may not be the most efficient way. If you have relatively small data sets, you can do it in Excel. Okay?